In part one, we learned how to stay calm in the most trying of emotional tragedies. Mildred taught us to compartmentalize our feelings and to deal with the facts now and our emotions later. Now in part two, she teaches us how to heal after the storm. Here is part two of Mildred's amazing story.
So we get in the car and we're leaving, and as we're leaving, the media is coming in. It looked like a convoy. They came from everywhere, every part of the world. And my neighbor said that the townhouse was lit up like it was daylight. Couldn't even tell. So they took us to a hotel.
Because I gotta tell you, at that point, because I was living here in the area at the time.
Okay.
And at that point, I said, who is that sister that she got out before the media got in?
They knew.
How did she do?
They got us out of there before the media came in. That's why he was talking back and forth to find out where the media was.
And it was that close.
It was that, as we're leaving, that convoy is coming in.
Because you disappeared.
I did.
On top or underground, nobody said anything about where you were, where you were gone to. Nobody had seen anybody they asked or talked to said, who?
Yep.
No, we haven't seen her. Don't know who she. I said, wow. I have to meet that one. I have to meet that one. I have a conversation with her because I need to know how. Because there are no secrets in the DC area.
No.
It would seem. Because of the politics, the flavor that we have, and because of the high security that we have, there really are no secrets in the DC area. Everything eventually hits the streets.
Okay.
You know, because the streets always talk.
Okay.
Whether it's the president, the Secret Service, state politicians, local politicians, schools, whatever it is, sooner or later it hits the streets. Not a peep about Mildred Muhammad. Someone even said to me today, Nita, how did you get her? How did you, she disappeared. I said, prayer. Because ever since that day and seeing that news conference and where the house was lit up, and they were all over the parking lot.
They were banging on the doors, trying to get us come out. We weren't in there. We were gone.
I said, she has disappeared. That is a safety plan.
They got us in. They got us out of there. So we get to the hotel. And I turn on the TV, which is the first time they're showing John's picture. And I walk up to the TV screen, put my hand on it and say, what happened to you? And that's when I hear my son crying on one bed, my daughter's crying on the other. Pulled them together and they just cried themselves to sleep. I got a pillow, went in the bathroom, turned on the water in the tub and the sink, sat on the floor, screamed in the pillow.
Now, how old were your kids at this time?
My son was 11, my daughter's 9 and 8.
So in the hotel room, everything just culminates, and emotionally, everybody has their moment. The kids cry themselves to sleep.
I go in the bathroom.
And you release yours into, because release is very important in some way, shape, or form. And Teflon Tough here.
I released it.
Okay, so that was where the release actually happened. It was timely.
Yes, ma'am. And then when I came out, I was good, because I had to be strong for my children. You know, I didn't want them to see me cry, because if they saw me crying or upset, then that sets the stage for how they will react. So I didn't.
After he was arrested, what was the first thing you did in an attempt to normalize life again for yourself?
First of all, I was upset that
You were upset?
I was upset because I had an appointment with housing, and I was getting ready to get the key to our place. And so when all of that happened, that was done. So we had to start all over. And the first thing I did, I had to call my job, tell them I'm not coming back, or then I had to look at my children and how am I going to help 2 girls and a boy understand what their dad has just done. Because to everybody else, he's a monster, or he's whatever you want to call him. But to these 3 people right here, he's dad. So how do I help them to process that and still be emotionally balanced? That was my thinking. I'm good. I will deal with me. I need to find a way to deal with them.
So timely again, and the kids come first.
Right.
So what was the move? How did you begin to attempt to normalize life for them again?
Well, they couldn't go back to school, not right away. And so we started to play games. We played Trouble, we played Monopoly, we went for walks. I was teaching them how to cook. You know, we cleaned up, we did things like that to start basics with how to connect to each other emotionally. I tried to find counseling for them. Unfortunately, this was a high-profile case, and everybody wanted to be famous, even the counselors. So one person that we were referred to was going okay the first 2 sessions, but then once he recognized who we were, then my son didn't want to go back. I didn't understand. And so when I said, well, you got to go, I mean, because this is helping. He said, Mom, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I said, no, we're going to go. I'm going to go with you. We're going to go. So I go, and the counselor walks out and say, John, did you do that? I said, well, and he's hiding behind me. I said, okay, hold up. Did he do what? Did he call Lee Malvo, ask him what's his take on this case so that I could help him to write a book? Because I know y'all need finances, and I'm just trying to help. My son is standing behind me crying, and I said, man, you lucky I'm not a cursing woman.
So he lucky he wasn't dealing with Anita in that lobby.
Yes. I said, we're done. So I said, come on, honey, let's go. We got in the car. He's crying. He said, Mom, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I said, honey, don't worry about it. We're going to deal with this, and we're going to keep it moving. Okay? It's going to be okay. Went to the library. I got a book on counseling, and I learned how to counsel me and my children myself.
Any particular technique that you saw worked well with the children?
I had to set up boundaries.
Okay.
The boundaries were everyone is entitled to their emotions. Everyone is entitled to how they feel. You will not criticize or make light of one another's emotions. So if Taliba, who is the youngest, says she still loves Dad, and John, you as the oldest, don't understand, that's your opinion, keep it. She's entitled to that, okay? So what we're gonna do is find out all of the emotions that you're feeling. We're gonna get a dictionary, look them up, you tell me which one identifies with you, and that's the one we're gonna work with. And so that's how we did that. Then it was, Mom, we got all these home movies, can we watch them with Dad in them? Really? Okay. Okay.
I'm getting warm just
So
thinking.
y'all really have to watch these movies? Yeah, Mom. And can you narrate to tell us what he was thinking? Okay. So pulled out the home movies, started watching them. Mom, what was Dad saying right there? Well, you know, he was saying this and this and that.
Now, all of that sounds really nice.
I'm telling you, that's what happened, because I needed them to be emotionally balanced.
Right.
And they have a right
As a mother,
to understand.
that was this.
who their dad was and is. It was a process. It was taking them back to who he was and bringing them up to date to who he is.
And that was
That
Mom.
was the, yes.
Right.
And
Now-
I didn't speak badly to them about their dad.
Now, but how did the woman inside
I was hurt.
separate? Right. What
I
she
was hurt. I was hurting, but I couldn't allow that pain to come into fruition because I have 3 children. I mean, I really could not do that.
So you were able to
Separate the two.
compartmentalize.
Yes, I had to. I was trying to save my children.
Were there any techniques that you saw work better with boys versus your daughters, or?
Well, because my son was the oldest, so he identified with his dad, male figure. And so with him, he was more of his dad, what his dad told him about me. So I had to break that shell that he had around him where he wouldn't let me get close. So I'm sitting on the sofa writing in my journal, and he says, "You want to know what Dad said to me?" I said, "Yeah, I want to know." He said, "It may hurt you." I said, "I'm a big girl, I can take it." He said, "Okay." He said, "Mom, Dad said you never wanted me. He said that you love the girls more than me. He said you wanted to live your life, the rest of your life, without me. See, it's me, me, me." I said, "Okay." I said, "I looked for the 3 of you, but I knew your dad was going to work on you because he was jealous of our relationship. And he was going to try to make you look at me the way he did." I say, "So I'm going to ask you to do this. I'm going to ask you to look at what your dad said and compare it to what I do. Okay? If you find that I'm doing something that he said I would, talk to me so I can explain to you what that is. And at the same time, if you see something that is a lie, talk to me so I can help you to process that lie and you can begin to see the truth." I say, because the only way we're going to make it out of this is with the truth. And I will tell you the truth, even if it makes me look bad.
And that conversation, or those conversations between he and his dad, are the tick-tick of the clock that manipulators use, and where just bit by bit they continue to point little things out, but they'll talk about it from a different perspective to try and turn that person against.
Oh, he hated me when I got him back. My son hated me. And I know that's not a 2-syllable word, but
How did you turn that around?
patiently. I mean, I talked to him. You know, I said to him, "What can I do to make your life better? Whatever it is, within reason. What is it? Because I need for us to be okay with each other, and you're not okay with me. So what can I do?" He said, "Mom, I just need you to spend more time with me. I just need us to talk more. I need to get to know you." I said, "I can do that." And from that point on, that's how it's been.
Were there ever any tense moments to where he tested his disrespectfulness?
I asked him to take out the trash. "I ain't taking out no trash." I say, "What?"
That's what I need to see
said,
right
"John, you
there.
need to take out the trash right now." He got in my face. "You don't tell me what to do." Boy, you need to back up because I'm from the South and you about to get checked.
You about to get the needle to come out of me.
Trying to hold it together because I know you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
So you're being very disrespectful right now, and I need you to understand it, so step off. And he stepped back and took the trash out.
And Mom held it,
I did.
and he
And
lived.
he did.
So then we move from there to them finding out that their dad is going to be executed. How did they find out, and what was that initial reaction?
John was away at Louisiana Tech at this point. He was 18. Selena and Taliba were in high school. I found out on the news. I was at work. I asked my employer if I could get off early to beat them home, to be there for them. By the time they came home, "Ma, did you hear about Dad?" I said, "Yes. Yeah, I heard about your dad."
But I understand that when they did get to go back to school, they had some very good friends and teachers.
They had their entourage. They was helping them. They had some students that wanted to fight them, and then you had those that say, "No, you're not touching them." All right. I didn't find this out until years later, when some of their friends came over and we're having dinner. We're all talking and say, "Yeah, Miss Muhammad, they was ready to fight, and we was fighting with them." What? Y'all had your security? I didn't know.
That's usually when we let y'all in on stuff way after everything is
and
over.
Those same friends are still their friends now.
Yeah, that's wonderful. What were the emotions that they expressed to you
The friends?
regarding the execution? Visit That Anita Live on YouTube. Where we create emotional healing to help you create a happier life. Through awareness, education, and you, the community. We've got interviews, tips, and techniques from real people overcoming trauma and abuse to live amazing lives. You'll laugh, you'll learn, but more importantly, you'll heal. Subscribe today at thatanitalive.com/YouTube.
For my children, well, they were angry. They were angry at their dad. They had accepted that he would be executed because I already told them whatever the jury come back with, that's what it's going to be, and that's what it is. So they wanted to talk to him. And they said, "Ma, that's it. I mean, if we don't talk to him, then we'll never hear his voice again." So that was where I was torn, because everything I did to bring them to where they are, one conversation would have unraveled that, just like that. Yeah. But I didn't want them to be angry with me the rest of their life, because I didn't put forth the effort to try to help them to talk to their dad. So I called his attorney. His attorney told me that I needed to call the warden to put in the petition. Call the warden. He said, "Well, aren't your children under 18? I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, that means you got to come with them." Oh, no, I don't. I'm not walking up in that camp. I'm going to find somebody else. But John didn't cooperate. So his attorney said the day of the execution that he'll call so that John could talk to them before he goes into the chamber. So I told my children, and the cell phone is right here. We're watching the news, and we're seeing, they're naming all of these people that are in there with him, and they lose it. "Ma, why are they there? Why we can't be there?" I say, "Honey, I am not going to justify or find an excuse for your dad of why you're not there. That was his decision, and I need you to understand that." So they were angry about that. And then, "Ma, when is the phone going to ring?" I said, phone never rang. The gentleman came to the podium and said, "John Muhammad has expired." They went in 3 different directions. My son, he went in the room by himself and he said, "Mom, I'm good." I went to my daughter who had hit the floor, Taliba, picked her up, cradled her. She looked at me right in my eyes, and I knew what she was looking for, but I didn't have no emotional ties to him. And she stopped crying just like that. Got up, went over to my daughter, Selena. She's whimpering on the sofa. She said, "Mama, you don't understand." I said, "Okay, tell me what I don't understand." "Dad was going to kill you. He was going to leave us without a mother." I said, "But Selena, he's gone now, and I need you to release that pain." So they cried that night. Next morning they got up and they said, Mom, can we go to the funeral? Y'all really need to go though? Mom, we didn't get to see him. Okay. So I took him to the funeral. I waited outside. I went outside again. Again. It's about them being emotionally balanced. So I sat out in the parking lot. They went in, and then we left, and that was good. After that, I saw that weight coming up off of them, and so now they're good. My son is 27 now. My daughters are 24 and 25. Both are classically trained and sing in 8 different languages.
Sing opera?
Yes, ma'am.
In 8 different languages.
And they've started their own group called Two Music. So you're probably going to hear about them in a little while.
1, you were always honest with them.
I was.
2,
I had to be.
You never talked bad about their dad.
Nope.
And 3, whatever emotion they expressed to you,
I found a way to help them to handle it.
all right, but they were free to express and explain that emotion.
Even when they say, Mom, I love and I miss Dad so much. I say, honey, I know you do.
So 15 years later, I'm still standing. And I'm Still Standing is your new book.
Right.
And that book tells us
from the execution, what my children and I went through, but there are also tips on how to leave an abusive relationship, as well as those who are watching and don't know what to do. Then it tells them what they can do without putting themselves in harm's way.
Because you were a part of a recent change in legislature over in Maryland. And I understand it was your testimony that convinced the Maryland General Assembly to expand the definition of domestic violence to include harassment and destruction of property.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You testified in March.
I did testify, but I didn't.
And it passed in October.
I didn't know that.
And your name is written off
In the books.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it
is. Yes. So now it includes harassment in the form of where someone can't continually email, or they can't continually call and hang up, or they can't continue to attempt to reach out to relatives or friends.
Right, because that's what he did. Right?
In an attempt to
harass the victim.
And there were 3 that testified.
3 of us that testified.
But their names are mentioned once or twice.
Okay.
Your testimony is there almost word for word.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know.
Yes, Teflon. Yes. Yes. You are making
just take my
history
emotions out of the actual fact
in domestic violence. But that's something that you could bottle and teach the rest of us. For instance, if we're in situations, because even personally, I know what it feels like to be hunted. I know what it feels like for the phone number now, because people can buy those phones and just add minutes to them. The number can be different every time. But you know, because it's so out of the ordinary.
Right.
You know, because if 3 different people come to you and ask you the same question, and those 3 people don't know each other,
right,
then you know
somebody's doing it for
right.
me.
So
right.
I know what it feels like to be hunted. But as we stated earlier, with the emotional abuse, there are no physical signs.
Right. Right.
So in your book, I'm Still Standing, and the byline is
crawling out of the darkness into the light. And I did have to crawl.
Meaning
I had to understand my own emotions. I had to put a name to it, look it up in the dictionary, and find the one that resonated with my spirit, that's the one I have to deal with.
So
and
the same techniques you
journaled.
used with your children was also what you used with yourself.
But I had nobody to talk to. That was the difference for them and for me. They could talk to me. I was biased. I didn't, let's talk about it, let's get it out. I had no one to talk to, so I turned to journaling. Because the journal, it just takes all my stuff. You know, it don't talk back, it don't reject
Right,
me,
right.
it loves me, it say, come talk to me, come right in me, I'm
Right.
ready. And that's how I was able to understand and get to the core of the pain I was experiencing. And then I dissected it down to the least common denominator and dealt with it.
And now you're helping other women deal with similar
much so.
situations. And they contact you through your website, either
mildredmuhammad.com, or now that they know I'm on Facebook, I get all these inboxes, and my email,
which is
afterthetrauma@yahoo.com. And I always answer within 24 hours. I never leave anybody hanging. I know what that's like for someone to say, I'm gonna get back with you, and they don't.
because you spoke in Flint, Michigan. And there was a young lady there that was so moved by your speech that afterwards she fell apart literally in your arms because of her own situation and her own story.
Because nobody will listen to her. And those are the ones that I get. Nobody's listening to me. They don't believe me. I say, do you believe you? Yes, I do. Then you don't need anybody's approval. You don't need anybody's opinion of what they feel that happened to you. You knew what happened. Let's get to work. Let's find a way so that you can heal and move on with your life without having to rely on someone else.
Leaving an abusive situation is never easy. Whether it's sibling abuse, emotional abuse, or physical violence, it's still a very difficult decision to make. If you would like a free copy of Ms. Muhammad's book, Planning My Escape, an 8-step comprehensive plan to assist you in getting to safety, email your request. Include your name, email address, and mailing address, and we'll get a copy right out to you today. Remember to use an address your abuser doesn't have access to. Email that information to info@thatanitalive.com. Free copies are available while supplies last. Nearly 20 people per minute are abused by an intimate partner. If you are being emotionally, mentally, or physically abused, the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence is a hotline. Reach out. Sometimes it isn't that you want to be fixed, sometimes you just want to be heard. And that number is 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. I am Anita, your host of That Anita Live. Check out thatanitalive.com for information on where and when you can view our next episode.